So but then let's do this quickly. Change menu. So what I want now is this: if change menu, once it is active, since it will be showing here, it will be a name for this div. It means that it can also reference this UL. It can reference everything inside of it. So quickly I'll be picking it up from the UL. Remember here we said that display should be none, meaning that once it gets to 900, it should disable or not show the unordered list. That's the list of the one that houses the list of the menus on the menu, sorry. So in this case, I'll also come here and say now, once they click it and this thing has this name change menu, this class name change menu, then simply make it visible. Now in this place, I'll not be doing display inline block. I'll simply do block because I don't want them to go into line. I want them to arrange themselves vertically. I don't want them to arrange themselves horizontally. So when I say display block, I mean I want the whole items to UL to show. But then let's see the magic that would happen. Another thing I want us to note is this. Okay, hold on please. Let me make a refresh and know where we are right now. Okay. Nothing is happening there. Okay. Now, this is what I want us to know. There's what they call position and there's what they call display. Display is more like, how do you want this element to be rendered? Do you want it to be rendered as a text, as a block? And even if it's a block, how do you want it? Do you want it to be, sometimes you even have things like table cell. Do you want it to be rendered as a table? Do you want it to just be a square, like a simple block? You get it? Do you want it because, like, by default, when you see a div, by default it's coming as a square or a rectangle or whatever you want to call it. It's actually a square. And how do you really want it? Now, it's not just the fact that it's taking that shape. The main thing is that it's coming like a container. Do what level? There are some features, like I said, sometimes it comes with default margin, default paddings. The neighbors, it will do clear both. It does not want neighbors. That's if it's a block, which is natural for a div. However, when you say display, when you talk about display, that's what it has to do, how you want the element to be rendered. So when we say display block, we want it to act like a div. When we say display inline block, we want it to be a div but come into line with the other guys, meaning that it will be a div but features such as clear both should be removed. We don't want those ones like that. But now when we talk about positioning, just like it sounds, is how do you want this element to be positioned on your screen? Do you want it to be stuck somewhere without moving, which is the sticky? Or more like, yes, when you're scrolling, it gets to a point it hangs there? Or do you want it to be fixed such that it doesn't move from wherever you put it, even when every other thing is scrolling? Do you want it to be relative to the content on the website? Relative means even if it's scrolling, everything should scroll. However, it is not static. Static also moves alongside every other thing. However, it is more like the default state of every of your element, except you now change it to like relative. Absolute is more like it floats on it. It floats on everything. You can move it anywhere you want to move it. However, it can stay on top of another element. That's for float. Fixed can also stay on top. However, if you're scrolling, fixed will not move. Absolute can stay on top of another element. However, it can move with your scroll, with the scroll. So all of these things are different. That there are features or things, properties you can get from what? Position. So there's a bit of, they are very different. There are two different things actually. There are two different things. The little tricks or the little things or rules you have to know is when you're using things like absolute, you have to specify width. If not, when you start, there are some things you don't do. However, in the nutshell, they are very different. So first and foremost, I wouldn't want us to get it all mixed up. I would start with for the menu. So now that we have this, to achieve something that would sit on other elements, let me bring us back here so that you understand what I mean. Look at this. You can see that this is sitting on top of all of this. It means that this white space you're seeing is coming in as an absolute. It's positioned with the property for its position is absolute, meaning that it is coming on top of this, as in meaning that it can come on top of other elements on the page. Are we together? Now, once you want to do this, one of the things that's important to note is the fact that where this would start from is very important. For instance, the container or the div that houses this absolute element have to either be relative, fixed, or absolute as well. If not, if you say left, it will take the left of the body of your website, the edge. It will take the left. If you say top, 0 pixel, it will start counting from the top of the window, not the top of that element. And so if I want this thing to drop from just under this menu bar, and I say, let's say top 50, if I don't make this menu bar, if I don't put the position of this menu bar to be either absolute, fixed, or relative, it will start counting from, if I say 50 top, meaning that I should give 50 space before it starts from the top, it will count it from on top. But if this is like relative, or okay, this one is already glued to the top, so either ways I do it, it will count from the top. Let's assume it's going to start from inside of this place where you have location. If I say 50 top and this place, let's assume it's a div, a container, and it's not having a position of either absolute, relative, or fixed, you get to see that the item inside that I'm giving that absolute property will start counting is 50 from on top of the window instead of probably from on top of this point. And that can really drive you crazy, especially when you have something really inevitable to do. You know, sometimes when you don't fix things, you just skip it off. But sometimes there are some that you really need to do and you can't skip them off, and it's pissing you off. So please note that it's with practice that you really get accustomed to it. But pay good attention at what we'll be doing next, because it will be involving some of these things. I'll try as much as possible to explain, and please feel free to ask your questions where you're not getting it straight. Please and please, I'll be here to answer you as soon as I can. Okay? Thank you. And so we'll be doing this now. So what I want to achieve is this. I want first the UL to show up. However, even though I want it to show, I don't want it to have the same design with what it wants. I want it to appear to the right. Like I said, arranged what? Vertically. So quickly, I would say it should have this. UL should show up. However, it should have a width of, let's say, 150 pixel. I'll explain all of that to you so that I can know where it is. Let me give it a background color. In this case, I like using RGBA. The A is for the transparency, like the opacity. So the RGBs are red, green, blue. You put the color code. 000 is 0.3 zeros, that's black. Then the level of transparency, if it is 1, it's going to be totally not transparent. So you can be reducing it to what you want. Let's put it around 0.8. 0.8 is from 0.0 to 1. That's the way you set the opacity or the transparency. Okay, this is this. Then what else are we looking at? Okay, good. The width is 150 pixel. This. Now I said I want it to be what? To float on top. However, where exactly is this UL? Mind you, we are talking to UL, not just the menu. We're talking to what is inside the menu. So now UL is going to have the position fixed. Sorry, please pardon me. It's going to have the position absolute because I want it to float on other elements on the page on top. However, if it is going to be absolute, what is the property, the position property of the container in itself, which is menu? Change menu is the same level with this. What's the position of that? To sort that out, I'll simply come here and say change menu, which is the same thing as menu. You can, however, still do the same thing. Okay, fine. Yes, you can, however, just say menu, it's still going to do the same work for you. However, let me use change menu because that's the guy we're dealing with right now. So change menu is still the same thing, saying that the menu, the position of the menu, I don't want to use relative, I want to use fixed. You get it? So that's not static as well. So since it's not static, if I put the sizing or if I put the more like the measurement or the parameters by which this UL will start counting is placed to the left, to the right, top or bottom, it will count it from, or it will do it in relation to this menu. Okay, I would prefer to explain that practically than with words. Okay, so let's say